What has been the biggest thing that has worked for you to kind of cultivate this winning mindset?
It's my desperation to succeed.
You have to ensure that you should let others speak. That soft squeeze toothpaste, that idea came from the guy peon who was sitting outside the boardroom.
And the most important thing what it taught me is to believe that you're one evening away from success.
That's going to stay with me. You're one evening away from success. Hello and welcome to this very special conversation titled Live to Win. This is a conversation that we have about the winning story, your winning story, our winning story. And of course, we're going to talk about success, leadership, and lots that you can learn. This is an initiative taken by the Joyville Shapurji group. And of course, it's a platform that's run by Shapurji Palanji, a name that has been trusted, a legacy that has run for over 150 years. And today we have two gentlemen who are a part of that legacy, a part of that brand, and someone from whom we can learn, someone who needs no introduction. Of course, Sourav Ganguly is here with us. We also have Sourav, the MD of Joyville Shapurji. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you.
So the two of you have a long association, right?
Yeah, he's from my state. Speaks very good Bengali.
And how long do you know each other?
For a while now. I met him a few years ago, and then obviously it got a bit more closer because of this association with Shapurji and Joyville.
My aim with this podcast is not so much to talk about cricket, because I'm sure you've spoken about that a lot. It's more about that winning mindset. And whoever watches this, I want them to take back a little bit about success, leadership, more importantly, failure, and how to bounce back from it. What has been the biggest thing that has worked for you to kind of cultivate this winning mindset?
It's my desperation to succeed. That's for me is a difference between success and not so successful people. And I've been around for a long time, almost 500 games for India. I've played with people who've been there before me, after me, and who've been as successful, more successful than I have been. And that characteristics doesn't change. They want it badly. What makes them different from the others, and I've seen so many of them. I've seen a Tendulkar, I've seen a Dravid, I've seen a Virat Kohli, I've seen successful business people. The essence doesn't change. It's about the belief, the confidence, and the single-mindedness that I have to be successful.
So you said desperation for success was your biggest motivation. How do you define success? Is it money? Is it power? Is it fame? What is it that you are desperate for?
One follows the other. And for me, success is performance. So once you perform, the rest follows. And I'll tell you a small story. When I played my first test match, and I played 500 games after that for India, I kept telling people that my mindset for that game was probably the best I had in my 20 years career. And not many believe it. They say, no, you're talking rubbish, you got so much runs after that. I said, yeah, I may have got runs because I got experience with time. I understood how to score runs. There have been days when I've woken up in the morning and didn't know where to get a run from and finished the day with 100. But that mindset on my first day, my first test match at Lord's, was something which I could not recreate for the next 15 years. It was, the ball wouldn't go past me. That was the mindset I had. That, I wouldn't leave the Lord's cricket ground without performance because I never knew whether I would get another chance or not. And that's the reality of sport. That, it's real. When you play a team game, others decide your career, others decide your life. It's not an individual sport. The opportunities are less because you only have one team, one national team. So the pressures are a lot, the risks are a lot. And I still say that mindset which I had, once the ball comes out of the bowler's hand, it doesn't go beyond me. Everything goes in front. And God was kind. Probably there's destiny. I believe in destiny. I got 100 in my first test and never looked back since then. So I think it's how much you want it that's very important in a professional life.
And is it very internally driven? The motivation comes internally, or have you had a lot of mentors in your life that have taken you there?
Your success is in your hands. What you wake up and want to do with your life, it's your life. Nobody decides your life. And when you start realizing that somebody else might decide your life, you need somebody's help to be successful, you won't be successful. You have to find your own way to succeed. And every individual is different. Just as the 5 fingers of your palm is different, every individual has a different way of success. And I played in a team where individuals had different skills. Whether it's a Sehwag, whether it's a Dravid, whether it's a Tendulkar, whether it was myself, everybody, or VVS, we all had our own way of performance. but we succeeded as a unit. And I think that's what it is in a team environment. It's the same with Shri. He heads one of the biggest groups in the world, who has built many stadiums, which that's more important for me. Many residential complexes also, but many stadiums, which is very important for me.
Even the Pune one.
Even the Pune one, yes. And I'm sure he must be having the same mindset as I have.
So Shriram, tell us a little bit about Joyville. What does Joyville stand for, and what has the journey been for Joyville so far?
Joyville is a platform which was created way back 2015 end. It was a platform created with a capital infusion of 240 crores, $200 million at that point of time. So the aim of Joyville was that, okay, everybody was talking about low-cost housing, but there was also a huge gap in the aspirational mid-income housing. So it's not luxury per se, but it's up for an upwardly mobile family. It's a good first home to graduate to. So that with that aim, it was created in 2015. Since then, a lot of things have happened. We have
How
launched,
has the journey been since then?
Yeah, so 2016, Howrah was the first project that we launched, and then followed up by Virar in Bombay. So the aim was to be in cities which are job creating. The aim was to be in places which are not maybe right at the center of the city, because Joyville can't afford that kind of a land cost, but is well connected, where the social infra is well developed. Be in those kind of places. And that's why we went into Howrah, that's why we went into Virar. Then Pune is our hometown kind of stuff. So we launched our first project in Hinjewadi, which is an IT belt. It was a runaway success. Then we launched Hadapsar in we launched Gurgaon in Delhi. During that time, actually, there was a huge sentimental question mark, where the trust deficit which was there in that market, because a lot of projects got stuck and it was not getting delivered. And we were going to the market as somebody whom people have not heard before in terms of Joyville per se. So the route which we took when we went to Gurgaon was, Shapurji is here. We never knew that Shapurji trust factor was so strong. We never expected. We were overwhelmed by the kind of trust, the kind of response which we got. And we are on the Dwarka Expressway, which was a story at that point of time. And we were the first project which lifted the sentiment of Dwarka Expressway. And that was a runaway success. Then we came back in Pune. We had projects launched in East Pune, Hadapsar, which was one of the best project launches that we have seen. The total homes which we are building under Joyville is 12,000 odd. Out of which 3,000 we have already delivered. We will be delivering a major chunk of the homes in the next possibly 2 years. And the best part is that despite the COVID shutdowns and everything, we are delivering much ahead of the RERA timelines. Okay. So because the fundamentals are very clear, that whatever you do, don't go wrong on the customer's expectations. One is customer expectation, two is the brand. You are borrowing from the parent brand, which is Shapurji, right? And Shapurji stands for trust. So you can't go wrong in that. And
also quality, you think? Because nowadays people have become very, very particular.
200% quality. So that's what I'm saying. So being part of the Shapurji group, some things are hygienes. So I don't speak about quality because quality is given. The construction technology is given. The time is given. What more can we give? That's what we focus on.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's not easy, right? Building a brand and staying consistent with that brand, something that Shapurji has managed to do in an environment which is so competitive, where the landscape is changing. How have you managed to, pull through these challenging times? Because there have been so many times that have been tough in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Business is full of challenges. The one thing I can possibly single out is the intent. The intent of being honest, the intent of being transparent. Do the things to the best of your abilities with utmost transparency. I think a brand can succeed for a short term, but a brand to succeed for a long period of time, like 150 years plus, obviously they have done something right from the day zero. But the principles were very clear, that we are here to serve the customers. We are here. The customers may be internal, the employees. The customers can be the government. The customers can be general public. So they have been always true to the intent. And that is what builds good brands. It is not just flashiness which builds good brands, but the core value of the company has to be very strong for the brand to exist over a longer period of time. I think that is what Shapoorji stands for.
Longevity is success. You asked what is success? Money, fame, longevity is success, and that's what he said. 150 years in the lives of people, different parts of the world, not just in India, creating homes, creating happiness, because homes are happiness for you, for me. However big is it? Some may live in a 2-bedroom flat, some may live in a palatial house where helipads and planes landing at the top. It's individual to individual, but the common thing is it gives security and it makes you happy. And I think that's what they've done for 150 years. And as I said, why do you say Tendulkar is the greatest? Because he played for 24 years. So longevity is one of the reasons of success.
Do you own a home?
I own a home now. Before that, my father owned a home, and he was fortunate enough to leave for my mom, for me, my brother, and our family's a massive home in Calcutta. Sriram has been there. I think home is made by home and by the people at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is very, very
and
important.
Was a lot of conversations revolving around sport? Because I do know that you liked football before you...
Yeah, they were obsessed with sport. And our growing up was not in the time of computers and mobile phones and cable TVs. Thankfully. So sport was the only option to get away from your mom, who used to only ask you to study. Come 6 o'clock, she would say, Bangla Shahityer itihashta porte hobe. And now you're looking where to run.
What does it mean? I don't understand Bengali.
It's a Bengali subject.
Okay.
The hardest subject, and
Bengali literature.
Bangla ব্যাকরণ পড়তে হবে, অঙ্ক করতে হবে, physics পড়তে হবে, and you're looking for a place to go. And the only place to go was the ground. Football ground, cricket ground. That's how it started. I'm building another new home right in the heart of the city, and Sriram knows it.
So I had asked him that question. All of a sudden, after so many years, why? Do you know what was his answer?
No, I would love to hear it.
I told him that I need my own home. My mother still doesn't want to move. My wife doesn't want to move. My brother doesn't want to move. My daughter doesn't want to move. Nobody wants to move. The only person who wants to shift from that house is me. So I've just built my own home.
You've worn so many hats, right? Whether it's being a batsman, a bowler, with the BCCI, an administrator, a leader. Do you think it was a lot about your upbringing more than your craft itself that led you to take up so many responsibilities?
Upbringing and craft. Life happens one after the other. You don't start thinking you'll go into that. So you take the first step, you do that. So I always believe that you live in the present. Do what you have in the present to the best of your ability, because that decides your future. A lot of us get caught up in the past. I have got caught up in the past many a times when I played cricket. I've had a poor series, and that would dwell at the back of my mind when I would go to the next series. That, I've had a bad series last year. 2 months ago, I need to turn it around and play well. So that I've learned from the game, that put that behind and look at this one. So it's about living in the present. So you keep doing things in the present, and then opportunities come as they go. The only constant thing is you have to deliver and you have to be good. And that's what Shapoorji is also about. You don't last 150 years by building one good property. You do it every time, every opportunity, every day of the year and every month of the year to build a name. And that's how they've done it, whether it's in Pune, whether it's in Calcutta, whether it's in Bombay. The quality, the culture, the system and the well-being has been the same for them. And that's why they've created a legacy for 150 years and fitted into different roles.
Over the years, I've spoken to many successful people, and the one thing I realize is their biggest lessons come from failure. You've gone through failure several times in the past as well, whether it was, with the World Cup loss last time around, this time around as well. I'm sure it wasn't easy, but how did you overcome that?
Failures will happen to everyone. We live in real life. So there's no hard and fast rule, and you have to find a way to deal with it. I've always said, the most successful people have dealt with failures properly, and that's why they have been successful. It's like a boxing ring. It's not how many times you fall, but it's how many times you get up. And I think that's very important in sport, because as I said, there's no retake. You live for the day, and it was only one ball for us. So it made us tough, it made us resistant, and it made us accept failure. It's about waking that day, trying to do the best. If it doesn't work, finding a way to switch off that night and come back the next day ready to do better, because the past has no meaning. And I think that has helped to grow up as a character in life and treat every day differently. And the most important thing what it taught me is to believe that you're one evening away from success. That is very important.
That's going to stay with me. You're one evening away from success.
Absolutely.
Whenever I feel like, okay, today I'm down, maybe I should give up. Sonia, no, you're one evening away from success. Just remember that.
Yes.
That's amazing. But I mean, even for you folks, it has been a journey that has been there's been some ups and downs. I'm trying to understand with a winning mindset, what does leadership mean to you? I mean, how do you define leadership, especially in a sector like this?
See, leadership is all about people. One individual cannot do anything. To my mind, a good leader is that who is an inclusive leader, who is not a dictator. There are various types of leadership styles. I personally believe, and Shapoorji's ethos actually exuberate that, is very inclusive kind of a culture. You can speak your mind out. You might be right, you might be wrong, but nobody will prevent you from airing your views. That is very important. See, if you have to really foster innovation, then you have to ensure that you should let others speak. I keep telling my team a story, that soft squeeze toothpaste, which we see. This is something which I have heard from Unilever guys. That idea came from the guy peon who was sitting outside the boardroom. Sourav and I think grew up when aluminium tubes were there. There's Colgate toothpaste and all those things. And we used to really try to squeeze it out, the last drop.
The last drop from the bottom. So many people have asked me, do you push the toothpaste from the top or from the bottom? I said from the bottom.
So that idea came from that peon. So idea is nobody's monopoly. So you should let people speak. They should not fear of being judged. And that if a leader is able to foster that kind of a culture, coupled with the agility to think while you walk, you can't be laid back. But if you have that hunger, if you show them the goal, and if you synergize all their energies towards that goal, success comes.
I'm glad Sriram brought about leadership, right? Because you have been a leader under you. There's so many stars that have come and you've made their careers. What's your leadership style?
That my way is not the highway.
I wish all bosses thought like you.
The best leaders adjust. The best leaders react to what the colleagues are doing and let the colleagues express themselves. That I have learned from being captain for such a long period of time. I have been in various leadership roles, almost captaining every possible team, every possible time. My introduction in the world of administration was straight away as president. So at the top and get the bullets and bear the bullets. So that was my kind of a situation, but which made me learn a lot of things in life, is to let others express. I've always believed that you hired individuals to tell you what to do, and it's never the other way around. I've always said that. Otherwise, it's no point hiring people. And I believe in allowing them to express. I believe in allowing them to understand what is it in this team and make them a part of the team. I captained a team which had Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman, Sehwag, Kumble, and they were all good enough to be captains. And I was fortunate that I was captain that period. So I believed in their leadership as well. Whatever decisions I took, I discussed with them. Ultimately, it was my call, but I understood what they want, and most number of times tried to incorporate what they said, because it gave them a feeling that they belong.
In fact, very interesting thing, I remembered when I asked him the same question, when he became the captain for the first time. So he was playing with Tendulkar, VVS, Azharuddin, right? All the stalwarts, and suddenly he becomes the captain. So I asked him, how did you change the mindset, of yours, going back to the dressing room and addressing as a captain?
My first team meeting, and
tell me about that. How did it feel?
In coaching, and I had 4 captains in that room.
Wow.
Tendulkar, Azharuddin, Anil Kumble, and Ajay Jadeja. There were 4 captains who captained, and I was in that room. My first team meeting in Kochi in 2000. And I told my wife, she had come to watch, and I said, oh God, I have to get into that room and just speak. And all those people who was on the other side of the table were now going to be on this side of the table and listening to what I said. I said, I hope this team meeting finishes as quickly as it can. So I don't remember what I said, but I just said I wanted it to be done. And as I walked out of the door, it was a big rock off my chest, my first team meeting. But then I adapted and I adjusted.
Do you need a special kind of skill set to become a leader? Because there's so much people management you need to do, right?
Loads, and from different culture. I had different sets of people. I had one from the south, one from the north, one from the east, one from the west with different habits, different way of doing things. And that's why I say, for a leader, it's not just my way and highway. It's about adaptability. It's about understanding what the other person wants, because two individuals are different. A Yuvraj Singh and a Rahul Dravid will get you success on the field in their two different ways. One is a flamboyant young boy from north, and one is a very introvert, quiet guy from southern part of India. They're two different, but at the end of the day on the field, they give you the same results. And I think that's what I understood a lot in my tenure as leadership, and I use that thought, use that example in whatever way I continued as a leader. When I became board president, ultimately I decided, but I let others work, because they come with ideas sometimes which you don't think of, and they are good. And I remember in the World Cup in 2003, I was captain, and Tendulkar was batting in the middle order at number 4 for India for the whole of 1 year, and we were very successful. We were very successful in England, Champions Trophy, Pakistan, and everywhere. So I remember a week before the tournament in South Africa, and we got together, and Anil came up to me. Anil came up to me and said, Sourav, I've been thinking of this for a while. If we have to do well in the World Cup, Sachin has to open with you or with Sehwag. So I said, why, Anil? Last 1 year, we've tried this. It's worked wonderfully. We beat everybody in the last 1 year, and we are here as a confident side, and why do you want to change this? He said, this is what I feel. And I think he's happy batting at the top. If he gets lots of runs, we'll be a team to watch out in the World Cup. Sachin. I did not say anything. It was still 10 days to go, and I kept thinking about it. And 2 days before the start of the first game, I went up to Anil and said, okay, Sachin will open as you said, and I'll bat at number 3.
So what made you change your mind?
Because I could see it for over a week that
Conviction.
This is what everybody wants. This is the way everybody thinks that we'll be successful. And he had an outstanding tournament. We had an outstanding tournament. All of us played well. I had a great series. So as I said, being in a position to adapt, being in a position to be open actually helps leadership.
To my mind, you asked him that question. To my mind, that one of the biggest quality a leader can have is transparency. If he tells you, Sonia, that, okay, you are not doing well, and these are the reasons why I feel you are not doing well, but I am behind you, right? So you pull up. Then you will start believing that leader and follow that leader.
And that man will give everything for you.
That man will give everything. I remember him telling me a story in Cochin on how he backed up Virendra Sehwag when he pushed Virendra Sehwag to open. So he gave him the comfort. And that comfort is extremely important as a leader. If you can give your team the comfort that no matter you fail, but you try. If you don't try, then you are not going to succeed anyways. See, I always maintain a populist leader is not the best leader. A leader is a leader who can ensure that his team performs to the best of their abilities and fosters the best of the culture amongst the team.
So when we talk about leadership, right, are there any other instances where you had to question yourself, the decisions that you've taken?
The hardest thing for me was to finish the game at 4:30 and take that drive back to the hotel. Because a good day made you smile, a bad day made your mind clogged with all the negative things in the world. That World Cup final, I won the toss and fielded, and we lost. I've been hearing that for 10 years of my life after that. Ki aapne pehle toss jeet ke batting kyun nahi ki? So we live in a world of scrutiny.
How do you deal with that?
That's what I said. You live in a world of scrutiny, but then that's what pressure is all about. And that's what you learn to handle. Nobody comes ready to handle pressure, but you learn. You learn, you improve, you work around it.
You cut the noise also, I guess.
You have to create your own zone of success. A lot of people say that, look, cricketers are so arrogant. A lot of people, they say, Arey, ye to milta hi nahi hai. He's not accessible. It's not that. They just want to create a zone of performance for themselves. We go through situations. I remember we were playing Pakistan for the first time in 2004, and I was captain. I had a dad who knew everything in cricket, and he would just every morning he would wake up and call me his first thing and say blah 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 blah. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. You need to get everything.
Your
right.
father.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was with a lot of fathers.
Very typical.
Yeah, so he was obsessed with cricket. I said, why don't you work? Why don't you go and look after your business rather than giving me advice every morning and putting more pressure on me?
That's what fathers do. That is their work.
Yeah, so we go through that. I used to remember, that tour of Pakistan the first time. I would actually be scared of the room service guy coming into the room. If I had to order food, he would knock, I would open the door and go to the washroom. So, and then he would say, sir, khana kahan rakhe? Maine kaha, yahan rakh ke chale jao. Because the first thing he will see me, khana to baad mein, sir, kal jeetna hai.
That pressure.
उनको हराना है. अब छक्की मारना सकलेन मुश्ताक को. मैंने कहा यार तू खाना दे. बाद में तेरे साथ ये सब चीजें से बात करेंगे. So you had, and it's not arrogance. It's not being high flying. It's just about यार मुझे सुनना नहीं है. तुम जाओ. I know what you're going to say and I know what everybody wants. मेरे कान पे बोलते मत रहना. So we go through all of this and
expectation management from everywhere.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. I played so much of cricket at Eden Gardens. I never got 100 there. So I used to be very upset that I get hundreds all around the world. My own ground where I know every blade of grass. Why is it that I'm not scoring runs? So test match against Pakistan, I decided that I'm going to cut off from everybody. So I bought a headphone. I'm not like Sachin who has earpieces all the time listening to music. I do it a little bit. And then I said, this 8 days of my trip in Calcutta, I'm going to only wear the headphone. Because I used to come to the ground and I would enter the gate. The security guy who's seen me play from under 15 would say, 100 banana. So I go through, get into the dressing room. The dressing room attendant from my father's age, he'll come with the best towels for me. 3 towels. Sir, this is the best. ये नया है, ये आपके लिए, ये आप रखना, आपके पास ही रखना, मैं रोज वॉश करके दूंगा. लेकिन 100 बनाना, मैंने कहा यार. So I decided I'll buy a headphone. So I bought a headphone and I used to get out of the car. Headphone was not on. As soon as the bus stopped at Eden Gardens, my headphone was on and whatever music was on, and I would walk through and walk in and walk out. So the security guy next to me, I can see his lips moving, but I don't know what is he saying. My mother used to wake up in the morning and give me breakfast. And I used to look at her eyes and she was more nervous than I was. So I told her one day that this test match, I don't want to see you. She said, why? I said, no, you put the breakfast on the table and then you go back to your room and sleep and watch me on TV. She said, why? I said, when I'm in Durban, when I am in Melbourne, when I am in Delhi, Bombay, do you serve me breakfast? He said, no, because I'm not there. I said, no, this test you don't do it. And I got 100 that test match.
You drowned out the noise, basically.
And the reason I say this is because these are small things, very small things, and things from people who love you actually. If you get 100, they love you more. If you get a 0, they love you the same. So it's from those type of people. But you had to find a way to get your mind on the job. Otherwise, all the time you're thinking, "Arey 100 banana hai, 100 banana hai." Aise thodi 100 bante hain. You have to bat for 6 hours. You have to bat for a day to get 100 in a test match. So that noise you have to find a way to get out of everything.
The one thing that I really wanted to ask you was how you picked Dhoni in the team. Because I know that is a story of there's a legendary story. Yeah. But tell us again and tell us what led to that conviction.
I had a friend in Sabah Kareem. He played a lot of cricket with me. Unfortunately, he lost his eye and he was a very good player himself. So I remember we were looking for a keeper after the World Cup. Dravid had kept and the first thing Dravid did after the 2003 World Cup was he came to me and said, this kit bag, I'm living back in South Africa and I'm not taking it back in India. And I asked him, what's in this kit bag that you want to leave it back after playing so well in the World Cup? He said, it's my keeping pads and keeping gloves. So then I came back and Sabah called me up and said, you're looking for a keeper, look at this boy from Jharkhand. I said, yeah, of course, we desperately need one. He was MS Dhoni with long hair and he was there. So I said, I've never seen him. How do I just pick him straight away? So he said, he's playing a Ranji Trophy game in Jamshedpur at the Kinan Stadium. Why don't you find a way to go and see it? Fortunately, Dhoni was batting that day. And I quietly sneaked in at the back. Watched him till he was batting 70 and then I came back to Calcutta. That's how I first found him. And then next day I called up the selection committee chairman and I said, we are having the Challenger Trophy. Those days there used to be Challenger Trophy. I said, I need this boy. And he said, no, he's not good enough. He's just started. Give him a bit of time and hopefully someday. I said, no. It has to be now.
So you just saw that one
Yeah,
game.
because he's raw, he's fresh, he just hits the ball a mile.
He was telling me that I just saw 4 shots of his
Yeah.
going out of the Keenan Stadium.
Yeah.
And I decided
That he has to play. So I said, I want him in my team and I'm going to captain him for those 3 matches. So they selected him and I said, you go and open. First over, he hit Ashish Nehra out of the Wankhede Stadium. And I remember Musharraf, we were in Pakistan in 2004, Musharraf coming back and telling me, यार इसको संभाल के रखना और इसको बोलना कभी छक्का मारना बंद ना करे. He hit so big sixes. I used to hit long sixes, but this fellow was raw, natural, and I looked at talent this way. You know, if I found somebody good and talented, I would not leave him in the house for long because, you know, talent goes down the waist if you just leave him alone for a while. It's the same thing with Sehwag. I never saw Harbhajan Singh before. Navjot Singh Sidhu called me up and said, look at this young off spinner. He'll probably be an all-time great. So I said, send him to the nets. We were playing Zimbabwe in Delhi and he was in the nets and he bowled and I saw that bounce and the noise when the ball came out of his hand. And a week later he was playing for India. So that's what leadership to me is about. It's about the gut feel. It's about the eye. And the best players are never produced out of the textbook. I'm a firm believer of that, whether it's a Dhoni, whether it's a Sehwag, whether it's a Harbhajan. There are great players who are out of the textbook, but there are many who've just been plucked out of nowhere. Inzamam ul Haq, Waqar Younis, from nowhere by Imran Khan to pick and play for Pakistan.
Okay, I want both of you to tell me your biggest winning moments because, you know, this whole, we're talking about live to win and the whole journey that you guys have been through over the last many years with the Shapoorji Group. What has your biggest winning moment been in your, 2-3 decade-long journey?
My first test. I always say that will be the biggest moment of my life because it gave me the belief which I carried on for 20 years. I failed after that, at times when I wouldn't get runs. But that faith which got instilled inside me that bana to dunga hi main. Ek inning nahi, 2 inning nahi, teesre mein bana hi dunga. I think that's what it gave me in my first test match. The belief and the faith that I'll perform at this level.
That was your winning moment,
Absolutely.
biggest winning moment.
It's in the mind. Life, cricket, sport, business is in the mind and more than anything else.
So how do you overcome that, self-doubt?
It happens a lot of time. There are so many times when you play test cricket, when you played one-day cricket, you felt, yaar banega nahi. This wicket's doing a bit. I'm not in the best of touches. But that's what maturity, that's what strength of will is. You know, it's that switch from negative to positivity. You know, when you stand in between, and I said that to many a young cricketer, you know, when I stood between Brett Lee and Adam Gilchrist or a Shoaib Akhtar or Moin Khan, with the ball coming at 150 kilometers an hour, there are 2 thoughts in your mind. Okay, what happened if the ball hits me? And the other thought is, it'll never hit me. It's what you choose. And the one you choose, it shows on the game. And I think that's what strength of mind is and strength of will is.
What has your biggest winning moment been in your journey?
Well, there is, like in cricket, you can say that, that was my best moment. In business, there are many moments. You know, I think, to my mind, if I have to sum it up, I feel when you start a business from scratch, for example, Joyville Shapoorji, I started from scratch. You know, over a period of last 7 years, today we have delivered 3,000 homes. We are present in around 5 cities. We have 7 projects running, and there are a couple of more projects which are in the pipeline, which will get. So, and then you see the entire organization growing from maybe 3 people to 300 people now. You know, you have built an organization. Where the corporate governance is being talked about. You know, in terms of the real corporate governance exists in Joyville Shapoorji. We are a board-run company. There are investors who look forward to getting associated with us. There are customers who look forward to buying a home with Joyville Shapoorji. So when those things start, fructifying, then somewhere you feel that yes, that's the winning moment because you have brought smiles in the customers, you have brought smiles to the employees. Our attrition rates are pretty low in Joyville Shapoorji. So which means that there is something going right in the business, which actually brings smile into me because when you are heading a business right from scratch and you have come up so far, then you feel really good. That's the winning moment for me.
Just finally, you know, as I've noticed as India is transitioning from a low income to a middle income economy, I think the demand for not just bigger houses, but better quality houses, better brands has gone up substantially in the last maybe 3 or 5 years.
Absolutely right. India will remain a mass market. All said and done, the middle income is a huge segment, right? It will remain. We are price sensitive. No matter how much we get exposed, we will be price sensitive, right? But what I've seen is there is a pre-COVID and there's a post-COVID. Pre-COVID, the millennials, they were not interested in buying homes. They were rather, for example, say a 25-year-old or a 28-year-old who have just started their career, they are pretty happy renting a house in Bandra, rather than buying a home in, say, Kandivali. So that's the kind of mindset which was there. But COVID really shook them up. COVID made them feel that, okay, my parents used to tell them, beta, ek ghar le le, ghar le le, ghar le le, apna ghar le le. So that they never used to heed to. But COVID made them realize that. Because there is a circulation space which is needed. Then, apna khud ka ghar hoga to koi bhagayega nahi. COVID mein they were literally exposed. The landlords can literally throw them out at any point of time. So that shift which has happened, today I can say that the first home buyers, I am seeing 25 years old are buying homes.
Not just 25-year-olds, even legends are making their own homes after living in their family home for years, right?
There is no better place than home because it gives you peace. That's the most important thing it does. And the reason he says that people are moving away from rental ones to their own, it's about, the security. This is mine. And, whatever happens, I have somewhere to go back to. Because people have good days, bad days. As he said, COVID has changed a lot of people's lives. COVID has been good for a lot of real estate because he says they want to buy homes now and not rent it. So it's about having something of your own where you can go back at the end of the day in spite of having a good or a bad day at office.
It's also about, in some way, validating your success, right? Yes. I mean, you've made your own home after so many years of living in your maternal or paternal home.
Yeah, but then, it's mindset also. When I was playing and I was growing up, I was traveling around the world, I had the money to make my own home, but I never thought about it because the atmosphere, the surroundings made me happy. Young parents, brothers, sisters, cousins, young boy. And I'm a firm believer in life that mindset decides everything, and there is nothing I could have done better. Because what you think when you're 15, you don't think when you're 45. So don't relate what you think at 45 to what you think at 15 or the other way around, because it can never be the same. Situation changes your thinking, and you have to live in the present, as I said, and what you thought at that particular moment was probably the best thing to do at that moment. So hindsight is a waste. A lot of people say that you should have batted first at the World Cup final. I said, no, it's easier for you or even for me 15 years down the line and say, kar liya hota yaar, to kuch alag hi ho jata. But no, that moment was different. That moment, your mindset, what you went through the previous 45 days playing so well, made that decision on that particular day. So thinking about it now is an absolute waste of time and complete negativity.
Do you ever feel any regret when it comes to what happened with the World Cup, then or now?
No, I don't feel at all because we live in real world. We live in real life. I made a decision on that particular day. My decision was in the best interest of the team. My decision was with the mindset of winning the World Cup, and that's what it is.
That winning mindset is what we all need, and hence live to win. It was amazing chatting with both of you, and especially understanding not just the business of cricket, the business of real estate, but also the association that you guys have. I can see the love flowing through, and hopefully, it'll continue for many, many years to come. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sonia, for having us here.